that perhaps the mining as well as the land ordinance could see the light of day as early as this week. So because of that, a lot of these sectors are doing well. So something like all the mining stocks are doing well as well. In fact, from the frontline space, all of them, that's Sesa, Sterlite, Hindalco, JSPL, they're all the top gainers on the Nifty as we speak. Along with that, perhaps there could be movement on the land ordinance as well. So that too would be a big positive. On the losing end of train, there are a couple of banks. So PNB is now seeing losses of nearly 0.8%. After that, some other banks like IndusInd Bank, Axis Bank, although marginally in the red, but under a bit of pressure. Likewise for Kotak Mahindra Bank. Ken, India is another one that continues its losing trajectory.
All right, so let's kickstart the show then. Joining us today, we have Funny Shekhar of Angel Broking to answer all your stock queries, and we have Hemant Rustagi as our personal finance expert. Gentlemen, afternoon to both of you. First, let me take up an SMS that has been written to us by Harshita Venugopal. She writes to us from Hyderabad, and she wants to know, or rather she wants to go for an online term plan for 50 lakh rupees for a period of 25 years, and she wants some suggestions. So let's go across to Hemant Rustagi to find out what she should do. Hemant?
Well, I think first thing I would say that buying a term plan is definitely a good idea because the basic objective of buying an insurance plan should be to cover the risk to your life. And it's also important to ensure that the risk cover that you take should be adequate. That's where I think the term plan definitely scores over traditional plans. One, they are much cheaper in terms of premium that you pay, and the second, you can get the quantum of cover that you want. In fact, buying online is again a good idea because the premium is lower than if you were to buy it through an agent. So my advice would be that maybe she can consider HDFC Click to Protect as one option for buying a term plan.
All right, so that's the advice for our first viewer, is definitely going for a term plan, and Hemant has outlined that ICICI Click to Protect plan. Up next, Sangeeta Matre has written to us from Mumbai. So she has a query actually on the auto space. She says she wants to invest about 25,000 rupees in one of the auto stocks and needs a bit of advice on what would be a good bet currently. Funny?
Well, if she insists on auto, then I guess two-wheelers might be a better idea than four-wheelers, although she can also look at commercial vehicle space. Since the rate of recovery expected from commercial vehicles as compared to two-wheelers is going to be different, I would advise her that if she were to look at commercial vehicles, then she can look at Ashok Leyland because again, one can look at a 30 to 35% upside over the next 18 months as and when recovery starts in the economy. For a more steady return among two-wheelers, I would recommend investing in Hero MotoCorp because again, earnings are expected to be more stable since the royalty issues are out of the way, more diversified product mix, and very importantly, as they have shown over the last 1 year, they're pretty resilient as compared to their peers when it comes to volume growth. Again, valuation is not very expensive. So I would suggest that she split her investments into two halves. One goes to Ashok Leyland and the other goes to Hero MotoCorp.
All right, so two recommendations there, Hero MotoCorp and Ashok Leyland. We hope that advice holds you in good stead. We have another caller who joins in. Rebecca calls in from Mumbai. Hi, Rebecca. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, hi.
Hi. Tell us what's your query.
Yeah, I was looking, since the crude prices are really at the bottom, I was thinking of investing in oil drilling, or I'm not sure, oil drilling or oil marketing companies as of now.
Okay.
Or should it be now or in a couple of months when prices will still come down?
All right, so let's ask Funny what you should do. Funny, oil marketing companies have been the best performing stocks, one of the best performing stocks in 2014. And now with crude falling further, how much more of an upside would you expect to see, and what would your recommendation be to Rebecca?
Well, she has asked a difficult question because oil has come to such a level that, very difficult to see where it goes. Again, chances of oil falling another 20-25% from these levels is a little low. At the same time, don't expect dramatic recovery. So by the end of 2015, expect oil to be somewhere between $65 to $80 per barrel. And in such a scenario, I guess oil exploration from a very long-term perspective might be a good idea simply because it has corrected a whole lot. Oil marketing companies, while it is true that they benefit because of lower oil prices, have already run up a lot as oil declined from above $100 to $60 where it is today. More importantly, oil marketing companies also have refining capacities which will not do so well when oil comes down. And some of the OMCs like BPCL also have oil exploration investments which again are marked down. So on the balance, if she is a longer term investor looking at a 3-year kind of investment horizon, then oil exploration is the space for her. But if she is looking at less than 1 year or so, then oil marketing companies might also be a good idea on declines.
But funny, what about any of the other beneficiaries like paint companies, etc.?
Well, they're not exactly cheap. So while an Asian Paints might be trading at 32 times, it's purely a matter of conjecture whether it goes to 36 times or 30 times. At such elevated valuations, I think any incremental upside, both in terms of margins and earnings, are quite difficult to map in terms of what kind of re-rating it can lead to in valuations. So I would restrict myself to pure oil plays rather than going to oil beneficiaries.
Fair enough. So Rebecca, that's the advice for you. If you're looking to invest for the shorter term, look at an oil exploration company. And if your investment is for the longer term, that's 3 years and above, you can still look at one of the oil marketing companies. Remember, if you want to catch all this advice, if you've missed any part of it, you can always log on to youtube.com/CNBC TV 18 in a few minutes and you'll get that advice up for you. We'll take a break. When we return, our 2 experts will be with us. We'll answer some more personal finance as well as stock queries.
Hi, welcome back to Your Stocks. The market has given up some of its gains at this point. So you have the banking stocks which are under a tad bit of pressure. PNB, Kotak, Axis, SBI are all trading in the red, and the Bank Nifty too has now watered down its gains. But we have been in conversation with 2 of our guests, Fani Shekhar, who has been giving us fundamental ideas, and Hemant Rustagi has been solving all of your personal finance queries. We have a caller who joins in from Maharashtra. Prashant Shinde calls in. Hi Prashant, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
बताइए आपका सवाल क्या है?
मैडम मेरे पास टेक महिंद्रा की 58 शेयर है.
ओके.
@1058.
ओके.
तो अभी आगे क्या करना है मैडम? ये रखूं या फिर मैं लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर हूँ और मेरा बच्चा 4 साल का है. मैं सोचता हूँ 18 साल का हो जाए तब मैं सब बेचूं.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आपको कंग्रेचुलेशन, बिकॉज आप इसमें बहुत पैसे बना रहे हैं. ये तो मोर देन डबल हो गया है. तो और ये एक बहुत ही अच्छा क्वालिटी कंपनी भी है. तो हम फनी शेखर जी से पूछते हैं आपको क्या करना चाहिए. फनी, ही इज इन इट फॉर द लॉन्ग हॉल. ही सेज ही हैज अ स्मॉल सन एंड नाउ ही वांट्स टू वेट टिल हिज सन टर्न्स 18 years old and gift him this stock. This is perhaps the best gift any parent can give their children, stocks, good quality stocks that is. But what would your recommendation be on Tech Mahindra itself? Do you see an appreciation over the next couple of years, or rather for the long term?
Yeah, I do. Disclosure being, we hold it in our PMS portfolios, so we are interested in it. I think large part of the turnaround that one expects from Tech Mahindra is already there in the price. But having said that, it will join the top 5 in the IT space, which means that going forward, as a large number of deals come up for rebid, Tech Mahindra stands a fantastic chance. And going forward, its margins might still expand a little bit more. Full synergy benefits, although a large part of it is already there in the margins, a little more might pan out. So the real catalyst or the real pointer in Tech Mahindra is the sales growth that one expects over the next 2 to 3 years. So I advise the investor to stay invested. On the specific point of whether he can invest it for the next 14 years, I don't know about not just about Tech Mahindra but about any stock. It's a good idea to be a long-term investor in equity, but with the caveat that you should be reviewing your investments at least every 2 years or so. So my investment recommendation is valid for the next 1.5 to 2 years, and at that time he should make it a point that he reviews his investment.
ओके मिस्टर शिंदे, आपके लिए सलाह यही है कि फिलहाल जो आपने स्टॉक चुना है टेक महिंद्रा, वो बहुत ही अच्छी क्वालिटी का स्टॉक है और आईटी स्पेस में जितनी भी कंपनीज है उनमें से ये बहुत बेहतरीन कंपनी आपने चुनी है। आप इसमें बिना झिझक के आपका जो निवेश है उसको आप बनाए रखिए, लेकिन क्योंकि आपका जो समय है वो बहुत लंबा है तो आप हर 2 साल पे इसे रिव्यू करना जरूरी है। फिलहाल कोई इसमें प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आप टेक महिंद्रा में बने रहिए। Up next, we have Shehzad Khan, who calls in from New Delhi, also with a query on, he has a stock query. Hi, Shehzad.
गुड आफ्टरनून।
Good afternoon. What's your question?
मेरे पास टाटा मोटर के शेयर हैं, 50 शेयर हैं, 450 रुपए के रेट पे।
Okay.
और मैं 1 साल इसमें इन्वेस्ट रह सकता हूँ और मैं इस लेवल पे और इन्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ, तो मुझे इसके लिए सलाह चाहिए थी।
अच्छा, ठीक है। और क्यों आपने 1 साल का टाइम चुना है? आपको उसके बाद कोई फंड्स की जरूरत है?
सॉरी,
आपने सिर्फ 1 साल के लिए ही क्यों आपने अपना इन्वेस्टमेंट टाइम होराइजन चुना है? उसके बाद आपको कुछ जरूरत होगी फंड्स की, या आप उससे ज्यादा भी होल्ड कर सकते हैं?
हाँ, मतलब ये मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट व्यू है 1 साल का, आगे और भी इसको मैं बढ़ा सकता हूँ।
Okay. Funny, he for the moment is looking for advice for the next 1 year. He could, prolong his investment horizon. But one, he wants to know whether he should remain invested, and is it a good idea for him to be averaging out at these levels?
Well, he can stay invested, but I would not advise averaging out at these levels. Maybe on declines he can always look at it. Because I think from these levels, there are better stocks and sectors that can give better returns than Tata Motors. However, from 1 year or beyond, considering that JLR is up for an exciting launch calendar in 2015, and hopefully, and since we have been hoping for the last 2 years that Indian operations turn around, maybe 2016 around as the macro improves, as things turn around, then the residual 30% of Tata Motors business will also start kicking in. But the best defense for Tata Motors is that valuations are not at all expensive, so the investor can hold on. But as I said, he might average on declines, but from a 1 year and beyond perspective, it's certainly a hold.
ऑलराइट, शहजाद जी, अगर आपने सुना तो आप ये स्टॉक में बने रहिए। इसमें अभी आप ज्यादा पैसे ना डालें तो अच्छा रहेगा। आप रुकिए थोड़ी देर के लिए, अगर ये प्राइस से नीचे जाएगा तो ही आप इसमें ज्यादा पैसे डालें। और JLR जो जैगुआर लैंड रोवर है, इनकी नए और बेहतरीन गाड़ियां अभी निकलने वाली है 2015 में, तो आप ये स्टॉक जो है इसमें बने रहिए। Next up, we have a caller who joins in from Chennai. Bharat Sudhakar has called in. He has a personal finance query. Hi, Bharat.
Hi. I have a Jeevan Surbhi policy and I've paid 4 premiums of 40,000 per annum.
Okay.
And I was wondering if I should surrender it. My surrender value is currently 1 lakh. So could you advise me as to what I should I surrender it or should I hold?
All right. Hemant, what would your recommendation be?
Well, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I think the basic objective of buying an insurance product should be to cover risk to life. Unfortunately, what happens is most of the investors end up buying traditional plans like endowment or whole life. And the problem with these plans is that they neither provide you the kind of return that you would expect from a long-term investment, nor the kind of risk cover that you want. So, my recommendation always is that you should separate your investment and insurance needs. The problem with these plans also is that they are more of investment, and insurance isn't just an incidental part of it. So you need to specifically look in your case whether you have, as you said, you already have a surrender value. So my advice would be that you also mentioned that your annual income is around 15 lakh. So looking at that, I think you should be buying a term plan for yourself for around 1.5 crore. And I think, as I said, separate your investment needs. Look at investment option like mutual fund, which can give you much better return, over the next 15-20 years.
So this particular policy that he has, what does he do with that?
Well, my view is that, Sumera, if he covers himself adequately by way of term plan, then that aspect is taken care of. And as I said, all these traditional plans, including this one, is not going to give him more than 6 to 7% return. So imagine when you're keeping money for 15-20 years and getting that kind of return, you don't even beat inflation. Yes, if he surrenders that, he may take some hit today, but I think he'll be better off in the long run.
Okay, Bharat, that's the advice for you. Might as well bite the bullet now. Take a bit of a hit, even if your surrender value is about 1 lakh. But immediately you must buy an online term plan. The figure that Hemant has suggested is 1.5 crores, which is, he's calculated 10 times of your annual salary. So do remember, you must take an online term plan. And the next time you buy insurance, do remember that insurance is not an investment. Do not buy insurance because you're hoping to get some money out of it. It's purely, it should be a risk cover. Let's take a break on that note. We'll come back in a bit. Our two experts, Funny and Hemant, remain with us, and we'll come back and answer some more questions.
Cnbc TV 18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.
Hi, welcome back. Here with your stocks. The Nifty once again at that 82.50 mark, but mid-cap index has lost a bit of ground. We have a few callers who are on the line with us already. So first up, let's talk to Sushil Gautam, who's called us from Lucknow. Hi, Sushil.
Hi.
Hi, what's your question?
Actually, I just want to ask, I just invest 500 per month for long term. Which option I use for invest?
Okay, and normally, are you someone who would take a bit of risk? Could you tell us what your age is?
Hello?
Sushil, can you tell us how old you are?
30 years.
30 years. So you have a long time to go, and you would be okay taking a bit of risk, right?
Ji. Yeah.
Okay. Hemant, he wants to start off with about 500 rupees a month. What would be a good idea? I guess a mutual fund?
Yeah, definitely. I think first thing I would like to mention that, since he's mentioned that he wants to invest for long term and also, starting his process now, investing early always helps because, the longer you keep your money invested, the more you benefit from power of compounding, which is absolutely important for every long-term investor to know. Now, typically, there are two options that he has. One is a traditional option like you have recurring deposit. The other one is market-linked product like mutual funds. And even within the mutual fund, since he has a longer-term time horizon, my recommendation would be to go for well-diversified equity fund. Unfortunately, there are few fund houses that allow investors to invest 500 rupees per month. So one of the funds that I would recommend for him to invest through SIP is Reliance Equity Opportunity Fund. This is a fund which has a combination of large cap and mid cap stocks in its portfolio, and it has a well-established long-term track record.
All right, that's the recommendation coming in. Now we have another caller who joins in. Rahul Malhotra calls in from Faridabad. Hi, Rahul. Good afternoon.
Hey, very good afternoon to you all.
Hi, tell us what's your question.
Hi, I'm 30-year-old and actually I'm planning to buy State Bank of India 100 share of, and I have a time horizon of 3 to 4 years. Okay. So my question is that can we see State Bank again in 1,000 in 3 to 4 years of time?
Is there any reason why you've chosen State Bank, or are you willing to invest into any other bank if recommended?
I feel it's the #1 bank in public sector, so why not this bank? Or maybe if somebody can suggest me some good bank other than this one who can give me a good return in 3 to 4 years of time, so I would love to invest in that.
Sure. Funny, what would your recommendation be? I mean, he's on the right track. He's picked up the best bank in the PSU space, but would you recommend SBI, or do you think that private could be the way to go?
Well, from a 3 to 4 year perspective, I think he should absolutely avoid PSU banks because the whole demon of Basel III will manifest itself around 2 to 3 years' time. That is when capital infusion is absolutely required. Government shareholding in State Bank of India is precariously poised, just around 56 or 57%. It can't go below 55%. So, whole host of challenges for SBI. From that investment time horizon perspective, that is 3 to 4 years, I would advise him strictly to go for a large private sector bank like an Axis Bank or an ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank, by the way, is the second largest bank. So, and valuation wise also it's pretty attractive. So, I would strongly advise him to go for an ICICI Bank.
All right, that's the advice for you, Rahul. I hope you were listening, that our expert feels that you should, if you are new to investing and want to buy a bank currently, ICICI Bank should be the choice for you. Up next, Pratmesh Gokhale has written to us from Mumbai. He says he holds 100 shares in JSPL, which he has bought at the rate of 261 rupees, and wants to know if he should hold or sell. He's making a bit of a loss there, funny. But with the kind of news flow that's now coming through, the coal ordinance has been, it's become law. The mining ordinance could see the light of day any time now. What's your advice on this stock?
Avoid, because there is no doubt that coal ordinance will become law. Mining ordinance, I'm yet to see the fine print. However, one expects these things will happen in the next 1.5 to 2 years, just a question of timing, but the valuation gap is far too much to be able to cover in foreseeable time horizon. Even at 155 rupees, the current price, it is trading at around 6 times EV/EBITDA, which is not really cheap. So I would strongly advise him to get out of this space completely.
Okay, well, get out of this space. That's the recommendation. Just one word on Sesa Sterlite. Will that be the recommendation for Sesa Sterlite as well? Because as of this morning, there's been a big upgrade coming on that stock from Kotak.
Well, for Sesa, one needs to realize that a lot depends on what happens on the regulatory or policy front. So you have 8,000 megawatt of capacity being planned on captive coal blocks, so that is again dependent on the coal block auctions. You have 3,600 megawatt capacity that is lying, that is awaiting approvals and clearances, again dependent on policy. And a large part of enthusiasm in Sesa is also because of its proposed stake sale in Balco and Hindustan Zinc Limited, something that we have been hearing for the last 1 decade. That is again dependent on regulatory and policy initiatives. So if one is willing to take those kind of risks, I think you can be in Sesa Sterlite, because if a large part of them or all of them pan out the way one expects them to, then you are looking at least a 40% upside in Sesa Sterlite. So that's the risk return trade-off there.
All right, Fani, your disclosures?
I don't have any personal investments in the stocks that we discussed, but we hold some of them in our PMS portfolios.
All right, on that note, gentlemen, thanks very much, Hemant and Fani, for joining in and advising our viewers. We need to wrap up on your stocks. Do remember, viewers, to keep sending us your stock queries posted.